my job. And I'm like, damn, my wife white. She don't know how to knit. And am I missing something? I had to ask the white lady, like, do you know how to knit? Granted, she like 60 years old. She said, no. So, again, I don't think that's just like a white lady thing. I don't know where you found that at, man.
Well, I think it might be like not, like my mother knows how to knit. My wife's mother knows how to crochet, which is dumber version. But yeah, most women I know how to create things from
So, yeah, your housewifely duties, that shit back in the 1900s. What the fuck can you do today? That's my question. What use do you have to me? What use do I have to you? Oh, I don't want to work. So what the fuck else are you gonna do? Sit at home and bitch all day about shit being bored? Nah, you need to be fucking useful. That is my problem.
And that is a problem. That is a problem that I have with a whole bunch of older men, either as a young man, because I have certain standpoints and talking points when they say like they need their wife to be submissive in the house, cooking and cleaning every day. But I'm looking like I've been self-sufficient since 15 years old, bro. Like I can't even see.
You
feel me? So I can't even see myself like sitting there knowing that the house got to be clean. It's like niggas don't know how to do shit.
It's a whole Instagram shit, man. I'm telling people. I'm not saying like it's only the women, but it's like $6 a month. If you're selling your pussy for $6 a month, but those are the ratings, right? It's like $6. It's like, you know, for like then why the fuck should I even pay for like the tap water for you at this point? $6, it's like you're done, bro. If you're doing this, right?
Luthick, if you're on a social audio chat app talking about $6 only pussy, maybe you're cooked too, Luthick.
No, hold on. I'm almost there. And then you got all these men. It's like, oh, look at this beautiful woman. Let me just give her like a little tip, like $6 and 1 single cent. And these women that feel like, you know, as much as they're fucking obese, they're like half the fucking weight of a Peterbilt truck. Oh, you see, I'm a 10. So their retardedness reaches a new level. So they're getting more and more serious. It has like
certain attributes that I find attractive because I don't need her to work because there's already money there. And a lot of times what ends up coming with women that work, there comes neglect. Not just to the relationship, but God forbid we have a child. And that's not every woman. If there are fantastic relationships out there that both parents work and they do their thing. That is great. Again, I ascribe to a different settlement. But for me, I personally prefer a woman who has certain attributes. Can you cook? Because even though I know how to cook, I like being.
Everybody sucks, dude. Everyone sucks. Figure it out. Let them roast. Everyone sucks. You can't win all the time. Let them roast. Let them talk their shit. Let them talk. Let them talk. Sucks. You can't win all you just drink it. Let them roast. Let them talk.
Well, let me just start with COVID.
COVID-19 and had vaccine response to the HEROES Act in March of 2020.
Has a peanut lover's favorites. The other has a sunflower butter you packed for your son. A peanut lover's favorites. The other has a sunflower butter you packed for your son. You do your best to help them avoid food allergens, but accidents can still happen. Xolair is an FDA-approved injection proven to significantly reduce allergic reactions from accidental food exposures. Taken once or twice a month, it focuses on the source of food allergy reactions. FDA-approved injection proven to significantly reduce allergic reactions from accidental food exposures. Taken once or twice a month, it focuses on the source of food allergy reactions. For adults and as young as 1, Xolair is effective in reducing allergic reactions to a single or multiple foods. Don't use if you are allergic to Xolair. Xolair may cause a severe life-threatening allergic reaction called anaphylaxis. Tell your doctor if you ever had anaphylaxis. Get help right away if you have trouble breathing or you have swelling of your throat or tongue. Xolair should not be used for the emergency treatment of allergic reactions. Anaphylaxis. Xolair is for people who choose to reduce allergic reactions, including anaphylaxis. Xolair is for people who choose to reduce allergic reactions, including anaphylaxis, while avoiding food allergens. Serious side effects such as cancer, fever, muscle aches, and rash.
John Kitover, candidate Congressman on Politics on the Prairie podcast. Open YouTube that shit, really do nothing. Shoot that shit. Yeah, we do it. Let's keep excited.
Where's some of your go-to outside?
For some is your strength. Very much into that. Encouragement is your strength. Very nice and put on the battle. That's it. That's right. Okay, I hope that's a good introduction for your room, Rob.
John,
What
this
up, babe?
song is giving me negative vibes.
Really? You're getting negative vibrations from this? Listen closely. Okay, how you feeling now, PayPal?
Amazing. I like the music, but little scary.
Did he say God is everything? Did he say Adonai Echad? What does that mean? God is one? Okay, so Elohim is like God.
Audio quality normal. Still pretty good. Still got the good quality.
Quality, quality, quality.
You guys ever heard that one?
No, I never heard that song.
It's work.
I forgot that you played music.
You ever heard that one?
No, I never heard that one.
Read my mind. Traditional Cherokee art. It's the Cherokee origin mythology. It's in the Cherokee hotel casino.
I put a link in the chat. That's the campaign to elect John Kitover for Congress. If you want to give $1, $100, or $1,000, but we're getting signatures this weekend out in Rockford, and I just did a pretty big podcast for about 45 minutes. So we've got press moving, and we've got $600 raised from Clubhouse.
Are you signed up?
I'm signed up with Antidote.
Are you obtaining signatures and doing that process?
Yeah, we've got petitions, and we're gathering signatures now. And
Who are you running against?
Darren LaHood, the rhinoceros vaccinologist and super debt creator. I talked to Augustus Palante this morning. He had a Maha COVID-19 vaccine alert room today. So they're still pushing vaccines. I don't know if you saw the National Institute of Pediatrics said that they're going against Kennedy and are suggesting all children get the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
I know. So unnecessary. It's insane. If you're alive right now, you're breathing and you're kicking and you're doing your thing, why the fuck would you go get a COVID-19 vaccine?
I need my mRNA. You know what's been the gotcha question that I really figured out from Clubhouse? When they're prattling along about how important it is, the technology, you just ask them when they stop taking their boosters. Every one of these loudmouths decided at some point to stop taking boosters by making a personal decision. They say trust the science for everybody, but they don't trust the science. None of them are fully boosted.
People are also addicted to testing themselves for COVID-19 still. people have all these old tests around, and if they've got the flu or whatever it is, they're just like, you know what, I'm going to rub this on my nose and see if I'm positive for COVID-19. Anyways, are you going to play more? Because I got some musical instruments over here, too.
I was doing earlier.
Have you ever heard me play the Chinese flute?
Nobody on the road, nobody on the beach. Feel it in the air, summer's out of reach. Empty lake, whoops. Empty lake, empty streets. Sun goes down alone. I'm going by your house. No one home. That's right. I gotta practice that one. I was messing around with that earlier. Sit down, Henley. Master. Freezing up.
I introduced them. I know people that take it
I forget the chord.
Striking down all over the ground in front of me, so I felt like I had to go live. Movie document my first lightning strike.
I can tell you.
This is so funny. I love when Arabs roast each other. Like it's more hilarious.
I know, but you know how bubble. John.
I know how did Joby.
Oh, no,
What the fuck, John? What's going on?
This
It's
nigga,
John Kitover.
agency, dumbass nigga.
John Kitover.
كيف حالك حبيبي؟ كيف حالك حبيبي؟
Oh my god, hello.
Hello,
What's up?
my name is Adam Ferrari, Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy.
For real?
I look forward to you joining.
Man, that's all good, but he can use it later.
He can share it with his family.
Yeah, محمد صلاح بنجح براك.
Muhammad left.
Kenny.
Yeah.
Let me talk to your boy Fifi.
My grandpa? Why are you saying your?
I mean, he's the grandpa, not
But why are you saying your? He's not,
I take it back.
Sure.
What was the first thing you do if you wake up your guy?
To be honest, I've always wondered how it is to actually pee. To have a dick and pee, like to urinate.
You ever got
Have a little tiny clitoris. Your little clitoris is like a little penis, and when your little clitoris is to take a pee pee, you make a pee pee through your little clitoris penis.
I would
If you
feel
ever put it
everything.
in John mouth.
John, what the heck?
David. Yeah. I'm saying I would actually feel everything. I would love to know how it is to have a dick. I would love to know how it feels to get an erection too.
I can show you.
I said I want to know how it is not to feel it. I want to feel it to have it. No, okay. what he said.
She really
He
looks like
said, Fatima must be a man. No, she's not a man.
but she looks like my brother.
طب شيل صاحبي بقى من جسمك
بدي فوت البيرمتس بتيجي ولسه 300
That's what that person said.
يلا يا لبو.
واي الاكبر ايه بام كلثوم.
You wanted the pyramid's office blood?
Yes. You understand?
That part.
And I said I'm gonna spend him 360.
Okay, God bless George. I really
طبعا
appreciate
ما
it.
ينفعش واحدة بنت متناكة زي دي تسخن 5-6 رجالة كمان. وانت ابن زانية تلاقيك
The beautiful Bill Act gives the Fortune 500 billion a year in tax credits. That's all future tax liabilities for you. It's transferred from Fortune 500 to we the people.
Penny. So you would like me to suck your dick, is that correct? Wow.
Yes.
That's fine. So what's your home? What is your location? Fuck you. Hold on. Silent. When your king is talking, stay silent, okay?
In a
Keep
vaccine
silent.
industrial complex. It's not a vaccine diet. This is not you targeted message.
What the fuck you are, nigga? You in class or what? Talking about keep silent, dumbass nigga.
Why don't you show Miss Nazareth some respect instead of asking such questions?
Wait, who let the blacks in here?
Who the fuck is this nigga?
No blacks. Yeah, no blacks.
Yeah, guys, remove any black people from here.
Yeah, this is a Muslim room. So predominantly Muslim room, so
No, I'm not a Muslim.
no, I'm saying it's a predominantly Muslim room. There's a lot of Mohammedans in here. So like we can't have black people in here because Muhammad hated black people.
Hey, shut your bitch ass up, dumbass.
Muhammad did hate black people. He said yes, he said respect the Ethiopian even if he has a head like a raisin. And he said that the gen on your left shoulder is black.
Fuck you.
So is the dog.
Use a left shoulder.
By the way,
ولا علي انت عامل
يا محمد هلا انا فقت لك يا ابن الشرموطه لانه انا هلا
Exactly.
يا ابن المتناكه يا ابن الجحفه بدي العالي بديت امك يا ابن الشرموطه بدي امك وبدي فوت البيراميدز بامك كمان بدي احطك on top of the pyramids يا ابن الشرموطه وبدي كمان كس اخك وقيله
يا روحي عليك.
كس امك. Sorry guys.
Wait, Penny, do you believe that Muhammad sucks dick in secret or in
I have
public?
respect for all religions, so I don't know.
No, this Muhammad, the Muhammad from Egypt.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that Prophet Muhammad sucked dicks, but
No.
he did.
Absolutely.
And I saw the Prophet kneeling down, lifting up the
Sorry,
Galvan
I mixed them up.
spreading open his legs and kissing his baby penis. That's what it says in the Hadith.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Let me tell you something. That is what it says.
No, Jesus,
Because
Joe.
Muhammad was too busy fucking kids.
No, Jesus. He's not even a Christian. He's not a Christian.
85. Why is it exactly? Why is it? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. All that. You turn your sword. Shut the fuck up. So listen, 85. I have a question. Why does it say that Muhammad went down to the river with a young boy, and when he went after his prayers, he would come back and Aisha would clean him up, saying all this stuff?
Come on. Hey.
Muhammad, you know it's true. Your prophet would come back covered in semen stains.
Fuck you, man. Like, oh. You insane.
No, it's not.
Are you Armenian?
No, it's not. Shut the fuck up.
Are you Armenian?
Left shoulder. Do not talk.
You Armenian? Nigga, fuck
Do not talk left shoulder.
Nigga, you a whole key.
Bro, you're left shoulder, bro. Muhammad hates you. Prophet Muhammad said you're a dog. Turkish or faggots?
Nigga, Armenians are faggots.
Istanbul's a rat hole.
Nigga, you suck as hell, bitch ass nigga. ما أطول بعدين تمام أنا ليش خلاص. Let's do it. Get your bitch ass down, nigga. Hey, Pookie, that's your Pookie. Hey, Pookie, where are you from? Hey, I'm trying to fuck low key. What's up with it? Hey, John, who the fuck is you, nigga?
I'm just here living my best life, Habibi. كيف حالك حبيبي؟ علمك حبيبي. كيف حالك حبيبي؟ علمك حبيبي. وين متحطة الحجاز حبيبي؟ كيف حالك حبيبي؟ وين محطة الحجاز حبيبي؟ اي والله.
Charlie, I swear to God, if we go train on your dumbass, please make your fucking mark sideways, dumbass bitch. Bring your dumbass over here, you stupid fucking cunt, bitch. You smell like fucking. I can smell your pussy through your fucking ass, dumbass. Stupid ass bitch.
اي والله حبيبي.
these friends can order whatever she wants from the menu. The other has food allergies. You do your best to avoid food allergens, but accidents can still happen.
In our quest for the truth, Jesse, Honest, John, Jay, oh boy, Kaparobor, Al, Tamek, Javed, this one is Palmer Tracy. I bet you that's Tracy Palmer. And William, welcome to the Critical Thinking Forum. So this is where I get to tell you the root rules. We're here Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. New York time. By the way, tomorrow I'm going to be using a different interface. And I'm going to rely on Alan, who's got extremely well-developed auditory capabilities, to tell me whether your assignment, if you care to accept it. And you know the rest of that. The tape will burn in 30 seconds. Okay, so anyway, we're here Monday through Friday. And with great trepidation, John, potential candidate.
Why great trepidation, Gary?
I'm inviting him up to the stage, Scott, because he's your friend, and I am going to hold you responsible for his conduct.
I will gladly be responsible for my good friend, the candidate, Congressman hopeful, John Kitover.
I will tell you one thing: if John gets elected to Congress, you think when George Santos was there, Congress was, an interesting place to watch? You think that Marjorie Taylor Greene, wait till John gets in there?
They're going to say those people were vanilla. He's
Nothing
the real
vanilla compared to John. Vanilla. Okay, and John, no more memes in the chat. Thank you. I know you'll probably come back under another nickname. We do not want memes in the chat. It's a serious discussion, and we will keep it that way. Anyway, boy, I'm going to run out of time here. I'll call people in the order in which I see them, which may not coincide with the order in which you see yourself. Worry not if it appears that I've skipped over you. I always get to everyone. Unlike many of the other rooms on Clubhouse, we speak one at a time, and we endeavor to not interrupt one another, and we endeavor to treat each other with a degree of decorum and respect, and for that, I thank you in advance. Generally speaking, after people speak, they're removed to the stage to the audience, not punitively, but so that I can maintain the order without getting lost. If this happens to you and you want a second go at it, raise your hand, time permitting. You will be given a second opportunity since we are here from 5 to 6 p.m. New York time at about 5 minutes to 6. We will no longer be inviting people onto the stage, but if you're already on the stage and in queue at the 6 o'clock hour, we will go into extra time to give everybody an opportunity to speak. Welcome to the Critical Thinking Forum. That's the fastest in history. A new record by Gary Baumgarten. Caper, John, welcome to the stage. I don't think I'm going to have time to welcome people individually who have subsequently joined the audience, but welcome to you all. And Tiger, congratulations for having the fortitude to come up to the stage after yesterday's discussion. Maran, welcome to the stage. Seconds away from starting at the top of the hour, literally. Barbie, welcome to the stage. Welcome to the Critical Thinking Forum. We're here Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. New York time. Today I wanted to delve back into what's really going on with Mr. Putin. And I think now there was a lot of speculation when he went to Anchorage about whether that was all form and not substance. And I think a lot of it was a criticism of the president, but really the critique should have been, I think, and I think we're all potentially guilty of this, if I'm correct in what I'm about to say, the critique really has any intention of ending this war. His intention is exactly what it was when the first time they invaded Ukraine, and then Ukraine was promised security guarantees, whatever the hell that means. You know, we say things, and it sounds great, but what the hell does it actually mean? And, well, we gave them the security guarantees, and what happened? Well, Russia, just when he was ready, just marched right back in, literally. And so what were our security guarantees anyway? But the more important thing is what's going on the ground right now. And I think those of you who have been watching the chat probably are not surprised that I am moving in this direction, because the day of the meeting in Anchorage, while they were meeting, they intensified their attacks on Ukraine. And the subsequent day, they intensified their attacks on Ukraine. And I wrote in the chat, and folks who are uninitiated, the chat is linked above. It's a Facebook Messenger chat for Critical Thinking Forum users. It's open 24/7. Feel free to join and participate. I use the terminology, Putin is flipping the finger at the world. And now, without question, because the president said as recently as yesterday that the Kremlin has indicated that Putin is ready to meet with Zelensky. And all the speculation was, well, where would they meet? Who would be there? Would Zelensky be safe? Because, you know, they tried to assassinate him. And all of that was wasted rhetoric. Because it had said yesterday, the Kremlin has not formally agreed to meet with Zelensky. So it's all BS. Like most of the stuff that comes out of the mouths of politicians and diplomats, BS. It's totally meaningless, except it's not meaningless to the people who are being killed. And when we say people are being killed,
this is the Gary Baumgarten podcast on Clubhouse.
Something that we rarely talk about with specificity, but it is so necessary to do so. Unlike in Gaza, somebody tried to make the comparison. Unlike in Gaza, where Hamas was hiding behind civilians, presenting a conundrum for the IDF. Do you go after them, or do you let them live and basically give up on the war because they're hiding behind civilians? So what Israel tried to do as best as they could, with some success and with a lot of lack of success, they notified the people who were living or working or whatever in that facility were coming, get the hell out, and then they would attack. And of course, when they warned them, of course, they were also warning Hamas. So many of the Hamas guys, as soon as the warning came out, you know, the people fled the building, and the Hamas people went underground, literally, to tunnels that were built under the buildings. Okay, fine. But there was a reason, a rhyme, a reason, whether you agree with it or not, as to why Israel attacked what appeared to be civilian populations, despite their attempt. And by the way, they did the same thing in Iran. They did their best to minimize civilian casualties there. This is not what Russia is doing in Ukraine. And if we want to have moral indignation about the way the Israelis are prosecuting this war in Gaza, and people have the right to take that position, whether I agree with them or not, they have the right to take that position. It's a legitimate position to take. Why are there not demonstrations in the street over what Russia is doing? Because there is zero justification of Ukraine. There is a military force that's not hiding behind civilians. They are out in the open. They are at the front, and that's where the battle is supposed to take place. Although it should never be taking place, of course, because it's an invasion of a sovereign nation, but that's where the battle should be taking place. Where the hell is the indignation over that? So at a time when he is saying, oh, I want peace, and the President of the United States is saying, I think Putin really wants peace. I think Putin really wants peace. I think Putin really wants peace. Then why is he accelerating his attacks on the civilians? That's not an indication that he wants peace. And by the way, Leon Panetta said it best today in an interview on CNN. If Putin really wanted peace, he would agree to a ceasefire and then negotiate. That's how it's done. No, instead, he increases the attacks, and then they put out a statement accusing Ukraine of accelerating the war. That's exactly what the Kremlin did today. Point the finger at the victim. By the way, there's a parallel there when it comes to Israel, but we're not talking about Israel today, but I threw that in anyway because I felt like it. Putin does not want peace. Putin wants a military victory in order to get territory that he wants, and until Zelensky is willing to capitulate and agree to this so-called land swap, which is not a land swap, it's swapping occupied territory for unoccupied territory. That's what their vision of a land swap is. It's a land confiscation. They're attacking in one area that they could get in order to get Ukraine to agree, because they want this war to stop, Ukraine to agree to say, okay, stop. Give us our land back, and you just take our land over there, which is mineral rich. That's what's going on. Give Putin some creds. He's freaking brilliant. And there's been a lot of discussion about how easily Putin is playing Trump and has always played Trump. A lot of people have made that allegation. I don't know whether that's fair or whether the people who say that are saying it because they just do not like Trump and can't say anything positive about him. I will take Trump at his words and say that he wants to help negotiate a peace, and it may not be altruistic, and maybe because he really wants that Nobel Peace Prize, he said so, but I don't really care what his motivation is. If he's successful in helping broker a peace, all power to Trump. I'll give him tremendous credit for that, like I did for the Abraham Accords, which I believe were the big brainchild of his son-in-law. But still, he had to sign off on it. It's his administration, his first time around. He deserves credit for the Abraham Accords. So I'm not suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, which really doesn't exist. But in this case, it's pretty obvious that Trump is being played by Putin. What did Putin get out of this? And somebody was really, two people the other day were dismissive at my suggestion that Anchorage was a photo op for Putin, who's trying to re-establish his image. That he was inching Putin closer to an agreement for peace. And remember, unlike Leon Panetta, unlike NATO, unlike the European Union, unlike Zelensky, who are on accord that there has to be a ceasefire, president who's smarter than anybody else, and I'm not saying this sarcastically, I'm quoting him. Okay, maybe there's sarcasm. Our president said, no, we don't want a ceasefire, I want a peace. And I think that Putin wants a peace. We don't need a ceasefire, we need a peace. Which I think is an indication of how naive he is about how these things work. I can't, unless there's malice involved in this. And then the next day, after all the others said ceasefire, he comes out and he says, well, maybe I could go for a ceasefire. The person in control of all of this is this very smart, very conniving, the guy who was the head of one of the most premier intelligence agencies in the world during the Cold War, Vladimir Putin. I can see it no other way. He's playing us all. In Gary's opinion, your opinion may be different. I'm going to find out right now by calling people in the order in which I see them, and today that order begins with Scott.
Gary, great to see so many friends on the stage. Representatives from all over the world. Advocate various interests in various geopolitical institutions. Good to see the candidate Congressman John Kitover. I appreciate a lot of this battle to get on the ballot. Also, my friend Alan, who has a great room, a version clubhouse. Gary, maybe you'll be a guest someday. Alan's a fantastic room, great trust. Well, Gary, it's been said that Trump. It was said in this room just the other day that Trump has been battle-tested negotiations in the crucible of New York City real estate. Now, whether or not Trump has been successful there, we can word before he's probably many thoughts as a guy who's in and out of the Big Apple all the time, working in bustle. Something about Trump not wanting a ceasefire, wanting a peace. I think there's something to that, and also I think that we're going to meet here, and as if that just the meetings themselves are an accomplishment, right? And that if you just sit down enough times, that there's some kind of automatic result, and that result is some kind of just peace, right? And I say that again, a just peace, right? I mean, Martin Luther King said that peace isn't the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice, right? And as you said earlier, guy, this is an unjust war. This is a illegal, unjust war, and any concession is a moral tragedy. Now, I'm not saying that concessions might not have to be made, but as I said before, when some of the folks on this stage that pop in talk about the fact that we have to make concessions to Ukraine, they do a little twinkle in their eye, almost like they're rooting for us, which is fascinating. I mean, they don't say it as if they're sad. It's tragic, but we might have to see something. They're almost giddy at the fact that they don't think Ukraine has prospects. But yeah, I think you're right. I think Putin is playing, or at least what you propose is a possibility. Putin, I think, is playing Trump like a fiddle. I think Trump, somebody posted that thing from 2013. Remember when Trump was holding the Miss Universe pageant in Moscow, and he tweeted out, I'm holding, we're Putin at 10. Will he become my new best friend? This is a killer and a tragic and terrible person. In 2013, Trump wanted him to be his best friend. I mean, this is weird, right? I mean, that's strange. I know we all think that was strange.
By the way, I think that Jeffrey Epstein was probably upset by that because he was his best friend.
Of course. Well, I mean, Putin's got a lot of good-looking girls, so I think he can eclipse Epstein. But I don't know why people don't find things like that. Some of the Trump stories just don't find that disgusting, right? But they don't. It's as if it's like what Trump said. I can go out
on Fifth Avenue, okay, I could shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose a single vote for my supporters. He's right about that. I mean, Trump has been right about many things, and one of them has been the absolute.
I think he said he wouldn't be arrested, and maybe now with the latest voting, that's true.
They can't lock Obama up now for all the planning to steal the election with all the Russian propaganda.
Straight.
By the way, one of the finest looking people to ever be in the cabinet. Hey, Christy Noem used to be more attractive until she had this fashionista kind of makeover. I mean, she was a much lovelier person as a governor. I thought her fashion sense and just her own sensibility for makeup was just much better. That his legacy is a sort of revived Russia, one that begins again to inspire his former glory days of the Soviet Union, and I think it's a huge deal. It is a huge deal. People die to get a meeting, right? Despots always want a meeting, especially on U.S. soil, right? Because it grants legitimacy to people who are viewed as illegitimate. And so when people don't see what the big deal is, right? What's the big deal that Putin gets the red carpet? And that's just how you negotiate. So no, it might be how you negotiate a merger between the Hard Rock Cafe and Applebee's or something, right? But on the international stage, these things matter. These things are significant, and Putin is getting things, concessions that are significant, while he's continuing to wage a brutal war. I mean, to me, this seems really close. Sometimes, Gary, we talk about pretty complex things here, and there are not easy answers. But this is not one of those days. I think that Putin is playing Trump, and he's playing him for his own immoral and unjust ends. And there you go, Gary. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Thank you very much, Scott. And I just want to not be remiss by failing to give a tip of the hat to Melania Trump for bringing to the world stage the question of the children who have been kidnapped by Russia. Her husband didn't do it, but she did, and now he's forced to address it. I believe that she's absolutely the lead on this. She wrote that letter to the Kremlin begging Putin to release the children. I think she's heartfelt in that approach, and I want to give her a lot of credit. A lot of people have criticized her because she's been an inactive first lady, as if first ladies have some responsibility to be active. It's their prerogative whether they want to involve themselves in issues or not. It's not mandated that they do by any stretch of the imagination. But in this case, I give her a lot of credit for actually getting involved, and she's got the bully pulpit, and at least it's being discussed now. And people who, it may have eluded them that this is part of this war, that nobody's out on the street protesting against, on Columbia University's campus, in Times Square, at Harvard, at UCLA, at the University of Michigan. Where are the encampments demanding that the children be returned? I call on these people of goodwill to come out again and demand that the children be returned.
There aren't enough Jews in Putin's army.
No Jews, no.
Get a few Russian soldiers in yarmulkes going into camp. They'll be protesting.
They'll be protesting, yeah. Thank you, Scott. We'll go to Dave next with Heads Up to Alan. You follow Dave. Dave.
Yes, so Gary, we have an opportunity here. Just like Israel fighting Hamas, the world should recognize Putin has zero sincerity in having this talk, because during a kind of middle finger to all the European leader at Washington D.C. together with Trump. So what the U.S. and Europe need to figure out is communication warfare. And I think today Trump called Viktor Orban. It seemed like after he spoke to Putin, and I think seemed like he's trying to urge Viktor Orban to let Ukraine join the EU as part of the process to increase the security for Ukraine. And I think Viktor Orban might be the country, Hungary, to organize the trilateral summit between US, Ukraine, and Putin. So these are ongoing negotiations, but I think the solution is this. Just like how Israeli is handling situation in Middle East, there's only one language. With the Middle East, if you don't speak the Middle East language, just like the European has zero clue, just intervening and wasting time, that is not helping. And so the European has to learn how to speak the multi-country language. Putin is a big bully, and you need a way to deter the big bully and tell the big bully we mean business. That means the next step is, the recent Makrov, there's no the attempt to quickly encirclement, but I think that was quickly destroyed by the Ukraine. That was like 2 days ago. So just in case anybody keeps saying Makrov, this is 2 days ago. So the encirclement is totally destroyed. And so what I want to say is this. Germany is talking about putting army. French is talking about putting army. I think the best way is to try to figure out a system to increase the number of Latin American countries fighting Ukraine. Right now, we have about 3,000-4,000 Colombians fighting them. I think we should try to have a very good scheme to encourage more Latino countries to come to Ukraine, increasing the number of Latino countries present there. Just having the number will immediately tell Putin we mean business. And also instead of this Latino country coming to US, now we come up with a good scheme for them to go to Europe. And I think we need to increase the number of military presence because Ukraine is winning. What we need is increasing the number of people on the field, just to showing the number is enough to tell Putin we mean business. At the same time, Putin's oil refinery capability has been destroyed 10%. And so I think in the negotiation, I think that would really, tell Putin we mean business, and then we increase the communication warfare to address the populist population in Europe who tend to favor a bit of Russia. So, but basically, just like Russia in Israel, identify the strategy of multi-front war and work on it one by one. Just like what Israel has achieved, all of them is gone.
So Dave, you bring up a very interesting point, and I want to expand on it just a little bit here. And that is, they're talking about any peace proposal must include security guarantees for Ukraine. And that means all these countries will ensure security for Ukraine. Now, what that exactly means, I don't know. Does it mean that they'll actually send troops? Does it mean that they will defer to UN peacekeepers who are not allowed to fire around unless they come under attack? So you can walk into a village that's being quote-unquote protected by UN peacekeepers,
and you can massacre people right in front of them. And so long as you don't shoot anybody wearing a blue helmet, you can do so with impunity. I don't think a lot of people understand that because we call them peacemakers. Okay, so wait a minute. Let me get to the question. The question is, why the hell, if people are talking about security guarantees for Ukraine in the future as part of a peace plan, do these nations have to wait for, you don't need Putin's agreement to provide security for Ukraine. It's happening now. It may or may not happen in the future following a peace. Knowing Putin and whoever the subsequent leaders of the Kremlin might be, based on past experience, it would just mean that they'll bide their time and invade again. But okay, why, if you're so concerned about a security guarantee for Putin, why don't you unilaterally, what do you need? I mean, for Ukraine, why don't you just unilaterally do it now? Why do you have to wait for Putin's approval? What is he, your daddy? So agree now. Make a security pact right now. They don't have to join NATO. I agree with Putin. We don't want them to join NATO. Fine. But the NATO nations not acting as NATO could say, we're going to provide a security pact. They can all sign on to a security pact for Ukraine and go in there right now. And by the way, the president said, again, changing position from one day to the next. He said one day that he would consider sending U.S. troops in as part of a security guarantee. And then he said, no boots on the ground, but we'll provide air support. I don't know what air support means, but if it means dropping bombs on Russian troops, if you really are saying that that's what you're going to do, why wait? It's happening now. Why not? I know I'm going to sound like a warmonger here, and people are going to say, oh my God, if you do that, you're going to start a direct war between the United States and Russia, and you're playing around with an itchy finger on the nuclear bomb and all that kind of nonsense. And maybe so. Sir, the next time we go through this, security guarantees agreed upon or not, right? So what does it mean, air support? Why do we have to wait? When I say we, I don't mean the United States. I mean the world community. Yes, Dave.
All these European leaders, including Trump, they fear the most is putting boots in Ukraine because they fear the opposition coming from Democrats, coming from populist population in Europe. So that's why no waiting, Gary. Speak the language. That is immediately send Marco Rubio to Latin American country, figure out an incentive to bring as many Latin American trained soldiers now just to go there. Just to be present there, has no violation of NATO, nothing, but just to present there with the prospect that if they go through the program, they might allowed to stay longer, eventually become a European citizen. I think this is
listen, instead of rounding up all these illegal aliens and detaining them and throwing them out, why not create a mercenary force? And if they join the mercenary force and they go to Ukraine to fight the Russians, if they survive and they come back, then we fast track them to U.S. citizenship. How about that?
Those Colombians already there in Ukraine, 3,000-4,000, right? They are, they don't speak Ukrainian, but the leader are trained. And
they don't have to speak Ukrainian. All they have to do is follow orders. Thank you, David.
But I'm going to move on. The important thing is just having enough number present there.
Got the point, and I underscored it for you, and we're going to move on. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
By the way, I've long said that if the illegal aliens were given opportunity to provide service to this nation. And it wouldn't have to necessarily just be in the military, but in other areas. As a path to citizenship, I bet you most of them would grab on to that opportunity if they're able. Alan?
Gary, that was incredible. First, I do want to thank my good friend Scott for his reference to my form and also for his reference to the beautiful women in the cabinet. I mean, we've had Frances Perkins, we've had Janet Reno, we've had Hillary Clinton. I mean, haven't you ever heard the phrase, beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Okay.
That's interesting coming from you, but go ahead.
Okay. I accept your invitation. I appreciate being included in your forum. I would say sound is not the most important thing, but the UI to Clubhouse, and I hope what you're going to get it only affects your it doesn't negatively affect your UI.
No, it's going to actually positively affect my able body.
That's actually a mic check. Okay, but Herman Cain, he actually did. He refused to get his COVID shots, and he died. And so I think Trump derangement syndrome may be fatal. So I'm not so sure that politics should be entertainment. When it is, people die. So actually, I think Trump derangement syndrome could have fatal results. I know you've got the candidate coming up. I do want it to be very clear that the candidate did say in my room that he thinks Trump should be impeached, and I do have it on tape. So he can't go back on that. Here is a Republican who believes Trump.
I hope you guys hear that clip because I'm screaming my head off. I'm asking him if Congress should arrest and impeach Trump. He's like, yes.
Those who don't know history are
I cannot believe it, but Thomas Massey is currently on this guy's crazy X account.
Bush Jr. was
speculate. I have thought that when they talk about victims, now they may consider some of these billionaires who got caught up in this to be victims because it would be embarrassing to them. Admittedly, the legislation that Ro Khanna and I introduced, because we have to get 218 signatures, we did have to allow for exceptions for national security. But I think there's still a space in there where they are obligated to disclose if Epstein was part of our national security apparatus or Israel's national security apparatus. So I am concerned about the redactions. One question I don't know the answer to, but I suspect I do. I've got a suspicion of what the answer is. 10 members of the Oversight Committee go view the unredacted documents. So, for instance, Marjorie Taylor Greene's been a champion on this. She serves on the Oversight Committee. I used to serve on the Oversight Committee before I moved to Judiciary. But could somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene go look at the unredacted documents if the DOJ didn't redact them, but the committee itself is redacting them? I don't know, but I suspect she could. And I suspect with a motion when the Oversight Committee meets, they could probably the membership could probably grant themselves access to the unredacted documents. And of course, they'd have to view those in some kind of SCIF type setting. It'd be interesting if the redactions were, if they say why they were redacted specifically. Sometimes you receive information in these committees that's confidential, but it's not classified. So, for instance, when I was on the Oversight Committee, the TSA showed us when they tested the screeners at airports, what the rate of failure was. Now, that information was confidential, but it wasn't classified, for instance. So we could view it in a room, but we didn't have to go to a SCIF. It'd be interesting to see what level of classification, if any, they try to apply to this.
The Oversight, I'll put it up in the Jumbotron.
Well, here's something else in that same vein that's interesting. Former Attorney General Barr testified And they didn't do that in an open hearing. They did it. It's in a closed room. And typically, if you're a member of that committee and you have enough heads up, you can go and you can attend those. I'm going to see if I can get some of my friends on the oversight committee to fly back in town and attend some of those other transcriptions, testimonies that happen behind closed doors. Because if you can't get the transcript of former Attorney General Barr's interview, it's almost like a deposition. If you can't get that, the next best thing is to be there, and you can actually ask questions if you're on that committee. So I'm going to encourage some of my colleagues to see if they...
Is it not true? Okay, many citizens, U.S. citizens, don't know this, but Congress, particularly House members of Congress, have what is called ultimate free speech protections. And so what that means is that if they read something into the congressional record on the floor, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is, that they are protected by that law, by the First Amendment. Did you know that?
It's not the First Amendment. It's called the Speech or Debate Clause, and it is in the Constitution. And so you have like super First Amendment powers if you're in Congress. There has to be a legislative nexus. It's been ruled to cover your committees or your staff, and committee staff, because they're part of Congress. In fact, it covers the Sergeant at Arms and the Capitol Police. This is why you can't subpoena them, or you can't do a FOIA request, for instance, on a congressman's emails. It's never happened. It will never happen as long as the Constitution stays that way. And it's an important, I know everybody tends to want Congress to live under the same laws as the rest of America, but our founding fathers decided that it was important that congressmen couldn't, for instance, be sued for defamation for anything they said on the floor of the House. They couldn't be put in jail for releasing national secrets if it's said on the floor of the House. And I know what you're thinking, but here's the problem. How do you get those documents to get them to the floor of the House and read them? They keep you from, I've been in SCIFs, I've been in settings where there's only one copy of them and they prevent you from taking them out, and you're not allowed your phone in there. You can't even go in, take notes, and take the notes back home with you. I had this issue when we were trying to get the 9/11 report released. I could go in the SCIF, I could read it, I could come back out, I could compare it to the redacted version, and I did that a couple times to try to figure out what they had redacted and what the American public couldn't see that I could see, but I could never take that out of there. So it's not like you can get the Epstein files on a jump drive and release them. They're just not going to let you have them as a member of Congress. Now, if there were one or two things specifically that you could memorize and then come back out and say, yeah, you can do that. You won't go to jail. You won't get a fine. You won't be sued. You won't even have to go to court because of the Constitution. The problem is then Mike Johnson or Hakeem Jeffries could say, we deem you untrue, and would it be worth whatever it is that you could remember in your head and bring to the floor, because you're not going to be able to come out with a binder full of documents.
Right. Well, thank you for that insight, because I've always kind of so many things get obfuscated through, quote unquote national security or classification. And we've seen, from government redactions over the years that they classify anything from, if they overclassify by a lot. We've seen instructions on how to operate a toilet at some point in time. So this is a problem. Go ahead.
Well, ultimately, they can classify it as high as they want, but ultimately that belongs to Congress. Like, Congress paid for those documents, and we can get them. And it becomes a matter of whether Mike Johnson and the committee chairman will let other members see them. And so it kind of grinds down into that.
Do you think that MTG is going to be able to get a look?
I don't know. I talked to her. I'll see if they can. There are other people they're going to call, and it might be the case that even if she couldn't be there, there might be other members who would be able to be there present. They schedule these depositions, by the way, at the most inconvenient time because they don't want rank and file members in there. Because if you're in that meeting, you can ask questions yourself.
Let me ask you real quick, what did you think about the exchange that went there? Comer put out a statement on what was said to a greater or lesser degree, and he pretty much, he said that Trump wasn't implicated, and then the Democrats were. It was really partisan on both sides. To be honest with you, I saw.
I thought the news reports were stupid. I mean, that was the headline. Trump is not implicated. Trump is not implicated. Well, we're not going after Trump. What we're looking for is justice for the victims. I never assumed he would be in there, but they somehow, I feel like that was a distraction to make that the headline, that Trump wasn't implicated. Well, that's not why we want these. Now, maybe some Democrats would hope and wish that he's implicated, but what Ro Khanna and I are looking for is for justice for the victims. And by the way, I'm not sure if we mentioned this in the other space, Ro Khanna and I have scheduled a press conference in front of the steps of the Capitol on September 3rd, when it's the first full day that Congress is back in session. I think it's at 10 a.m. when we're going to do that. We'll have survivors who've never spoken publicly before speak at that press conference. So here's the interesting thing about that. This puts to bed all of those people who they're just throwing up smoke and mirrors, but they say, oh, Congressman Massey and Congressman Khanna, they're putting these survivors at risk. They want to expose them. Their legislation isn't crafted well enough to protect them. Well, if that were
on both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, and I think I see is a uniparty strategy to intentionally make this a partisan issue. That way people aren't focusing on the facts of the case and are perceiving it more as an attack by the opposition party, right? And I can only imagine the amount of heat that you take when you were talking about, career suicide. Just in reporting on Epstein myself for the last 2 months, the amount of threats and the amount of heat I have taken, doxing attempts, harassment, you name it. I mean, you name it. People, Noxie's on my stage. I have Senator Shane from Oklahoma. He's a state-level senator. They've experienced some kind of weird intimidation ever since we've started covering all of this.
Which part of this do you think I don't understand? When this stuff heats up, my phone battery life goes to about 15 minutes, and I could go sometimes 24 hours without even being able to read a text on my phone. There are times when there's a lot more scrutiny applied, and we'll see what happens. Definitely, they're keeping score the wrong way in D.C. I think some Democrats are keeping score by the number of times Trump's name might appear in the documents, and the Republicans are keeping score on if they can just completely avoid taking this vote and going on the record at all. And Speaker Johnson is acting like he's being persecuted here, which I think is totally ridiculous. The only reason he feels persecuted is he's got to decide between carrying water for this administration and being part of a cover-up, or being for the victims and transparency. And I think he sees it as his job to keep every Republican from having to actually pick between those two choices by expressing a vote on the floor of the House of Representatives. That's why he didn't even bring, I suspect, there's a few reasons why he didn't even bring the fake resolution. to release the Epstein files. The non-binding Pretty Please Mother May I resolution, he didn't even bring that to the floor, maybe because he realized that people would see through it, but more likely he didn't even want people to go on record with a fake resolution. And the fake resolution is full of flaws. It refers to a Section 2 that doesn't even exist in the document. So that's another reason he probably didn't bring it to the floor. And finally, the fake resolution was more or less just to provide cover for people on the Rules Committee. There are 9 Republicans and 4 Democrats currently on the Rules Committee, and one of the Republicans voted for Ro Khanna's amendment to release the Epstein files, which left 8 Republicans exposed in that committee. So really the fake resolution that Mike Johnson has was merely, I think its entire shelf life and its entire reason to exist was to protect the 8 Republican members of the Rules Committee who had already taken a publicly toxic...
On the floor, well, not in the floor, but in the works, in the House right now, that you are hoping to have ready by the time you guys get back in session in September. Where is that? Where do you stand with that right now? You have all the signatures you need. Where does that stand?
So it's completely ready. It had to be ready the day we filed it. By the way, Speaker Johnson has tried to spread falsehoods about it. He said we didn't run it through Ledge Council. That's the Legislative Council. That's the nonpartisan part of Congress that reviews your legislation before you submit it to make sure you got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed and your punctuation right and you're referring to the right section of law to modify if you're going to modify law. Well, number one, he can't know if we ran it through Ledge Council or not because they keep all that stuff private. And number two, we did run it through Ledge Council, and not only did we run it through Ledge Council, we ran it through the parliamentarian. So the stuff is done. It's finished. There are not mistakes in it. It takes 7 days to ripen, according to the rules, and we had 6 legislative days, actually 5, because Mike Johnson released us early to get away from all this Epstein stuff. So the bill didn't have time to ripen, and so we couldn't collect signatures yet. But because they've been having these pro forma sessions, which is another sort of miniature scandal in its own, where Mike Johnson and Leader Thune, every 3 or 4 days, they hold a session with nobody there, and the entire purpose of gaveling in and gaveling out is to keep Congress from going into a real recess as defined by the Supreme Court in 2014, when in Obama's case with the National Labor Relations Board appointments, recess appointments. In any case, we're having these recess appointments at the behest of the leadership with nobody on the floor of the House, merely to keep 14. Sorry, what did I say? We're having these pro forma sessions merely to keep Trump from making recess appointments. And Trump's not complaining about it. Nobody's talking about it. The reason I bring it up was, not to go down another rabbit hole, but to point out now 7 days have elapsed, 7 legislative days have elapsed, because every time they hold one of those, the ticker goes 1 day forward, even though they're not having real business on those days. So as soon as we get back, we can start collecting signatures. As soon as we get to 218 signatures, then it takes 7 more days, and then it can be brought up. And the speaker can either bring it up immediately, or he can wait a couple more legislative days.
So is there a threshold, is there a deadline that you have to meet to collect the signatures that's going to run out, per se, before you have to try again?
No, it goes to the end of Congress. And so, I think we're going to get there. If every Democrat signs it, and by the way, it will take a little while because people have to physically be present and physically sign it. This is not a Joe Biden auto pen thing where you can have your staff do it or mail it in. And you have to do it on the floor of the House of Representatives. If you're watching C-SPAN, now that I know how it happens, you can actually watch people walk down there and sign this document at the clerk's desk. You'll see people doing that. And so 218 people have to sign the same document. And if every Democrat signs it, we need about 6 Republicans. And I've collected 12 Republican co-sponsors and a lot of Democrats. But if just 6 of the 12 follow through after co-sponsoring it and actually sign the discharge petition, then we're off to the races. And Speaker Johnson has 2 choices that I can see. He can either let this proceed to the floor for a vote, a debate, and there will be a debate, and then there'll be a vote. Or he can use the Rules Committee, which means he's got to get it through 9 Republicans and 4 Democrats there. If 3 Rules Committee members defect, he's got a problem. 3 Republicans defect. And I'm hoping there would be 3, but in the Rules Committee, he could write a special rule to turn off this discharge petition power for the purposes of the resolution I've introduced. But he still has to get a majority of votes in the Rules Committee to get it to the floor. And then he has to get 218 votes on the floor. And you might say, well, why would anybody vote for that if they're in favor of releasing Epstein files? Well, it's because they may hide it in another piece of legislation. There may be one sentence in an otherwise very popular bill where they change the rule to turn off the vote on the Epstein files to keep it from ever being a vote. But this is where everybody needs to pay attention. We will sound the alarm. We won't have much time if he tries to go down that path. And then that roll call vote becomes the vote of record on when the Epstein files got swept under the rug in the House of Representatives.
And what's the time frame there, if you can just estimate?
That's probably a couple weeks after we come back. So I would say mid-September is when either the chicanery happens on the part of the speaker or we have a legitimate debate and a vote.
Okay, well, and what can we do as constituents for our representatives, either Republican or Democrat? Because this is a nonpartisan issue as far as I'm concerned. You know, I voted for Trump. I advocated for other people to vote for Trump last year. I'm a registered Republican, and you know, for me, when there was a delineation and a deviation away from truth and transparency when it came to the Epstein files, that's when I started to have a much more scrutinous eye on not just the Trump administration, but also the Republican Party and Congress, and Democrats for that matter. I started to look at a far more scrutinous lens. So what can we do as constituents to help you pressure our congressmen to push that through when you come back in September?
Well, I looked at the call log yesterday for my office. Out of 750,000 people, one person called me yesterday in a 24-hour span of time. Only one person called me. And it was about Medicare and the Big Beautiful Bill. They were worried that there would be cuts to Medicare and the Big Beautiful Bill. If I'm telling you this, that you know the signal to noise ratio on phone calls is pretty good. If you got 3 of your friends to call your congressman, starting on September 3rd, the request should no longer be to co-sponsor the bill. The request should then transition to, would you sign the discharge petition on the Epstein files? You don't need to remember the HRES or HR number. It's HRES 581, but ask them, would you sign the discharge petition on the Epstein files? And don't call Nancy Pelosi or the other reps in your state that you can't vote for, because we do have caller ID and the people are going to look it up and see if you're an actual constituent. And they'll let you talk, but then they're not going to write anything down to pass on to the congressman. So only call your rep. It's only one phone call. Until September 3rd, ask them to be a co-sponsor. Once we hit September 3rd, ask them to sign the legislation. And then once we hit 218 signatures, they don't need to sign it anymore. Transition to asking them to vote for the legislation when it comes to the floor. So it's 3 different asks, depending on what stage we're in. But right now, it's the co-sponsor stage. The next one will be please sign it stage. And then the third stage will be please vote for it.
So then every time I host a space about Epstein, my ask will be, please call your representative and co-sponsor Representative Massey and Khanna's bill about the release of the Epstein files. And then I will use September 3rd as a lightning rod, especially when we have the victim statements up there. I'll host a space. I'm going to cover that event in Spaces. I might even come to DC in person. We'll see. And we will use that as a lightning rod for people because I imagine that there's going to be new victims there, according to what you guys say, sharing their experiences and what they've gone through. And we're talking, the government has admitted there's over 1,000 victims of Epstein that they admit to. Over 1,000. And we always know that's only the tip of the iceberg. Every time that there's a crime like this, or these kind of crimes have occurred, it's always the tip of the iceberg. And go ahead.
Well, there's a good point in what you just said. Over 1,000 victims of Epstein. Well, really, is he the only perpetrator? And Maxwell? No. This is the ridiculousness of their position. Is that there, are hundreds of victims, and that only 2 people have been prosecuted. And that's what we're looking for, is prosecutions ultimately, and to know really who was Epstein and what was he doing on behalf of whom. And so the other thing is, this is just sort of a teaser. As you can imagine, there are people who've approached me through secure channels about things they know once I introduce this resolution, and there will be more information to come out in the media that's going to make it harder for the administration to call this a hoax. There will be more information dropped. They'll try to sweep it under the rug, but I don't think they're going to be able to. There's at least 2 things I know that will come out in September. It's going to make the denier's job a lot harder. And that's all I can say about that. But
wow, breaking right here. Yeah. Next Spaces. Wow.
Breaking teaser. I didn't give you anything real other than there's more coming out. It's just going to be, just like having the survivors come to Capitol Hill and testify publicly in front of cameras. What are they going to, what moral human being is going to later that day walk to a podium in December as this heats up?
You alluded to the obfuscation of potential foreign involvement when it comes to Epstein in this operation, and that brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is the Las Vegas case that occurred. The cyber official was caught up in a sex ring sting in Vegas that was at the federal, state, and local level, a task force that was that combined all of those elements. And he was allowed to leave on a $10,000 bail and leave the country, when he's a foreign national and he did not have diplomatic immunity. And the similarities between the Epstein case and this particular case, especially right now, are striking to me. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I waited a few days before I did post about it because I wanted access to the primary sources. And then when I saw the police records and the interview summary, that's when I put something on my page. Because every time I see something like this, I have to treat it as maybe, the meme, that's bait, where he's pointing at something. I have to treat it as an effort to discredit me. If I amplify it, then
I approach it the same way, Mr. Massey.
If it turns out not to be true. So in this case, it turns out to be true. In fact, to a degree that the State Department had to put out a statement, which may or may not be true, saying that they had nothing to do with it. Now, whoever put out that statement may firmly believe that the State Department had nothing to do with it. But it might be a case where the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. And the real question is, why did they allow it to happen? How did this happen? And I do agree with you that this alleged perpetrator, he's innocent until proven guilty, but the
100% he is.
Yeah, but the alleged perpetrator is. I've always said there's this category of people. They're either rich, powerful, or politically connected. And in this case, this individual doesn't seem to be rich or powerful, but he was politically connected. And so he got to leave the country. I guess the proof is in the pudding. Does he come back for the court case? I wouldn't want to be the person who wrote his bail, though.
No, and can you give us? You said that you've seen from primary sources.
Just I shared. I can't remember the individual's name, but he did a video, like a 9-minute video with the police reports and stuff, and you can read them right there on the screen. But if you go,
I read those.
Yeah, that's at that point, it's real. Those are not fake documents.
No, 100%.
And I think the other story here is there's an individual who claims that his posts got deleted, like dozens or of posts about this topic. Just
in the conversations with Grok.
Not just those. I think speaking. It seems to be too close.
I have developed a framework to solve for that. It's pretty honest.
I saw that.
Yep.
It's like you gotta cut and paste like 1,000 words or something.
It's a wall of text, and as a matter of fact, it's so advanced now that even Grok is telling me they're like, don't release it. We'll release the smaller version because the state can actually use it to find holes in their narrative going forward and make their stories much more believable when the primary evidence doesn't match up to what they're trying to tell you. And about that, I looked at that guy's statements, and the problem with me was, do I believe it's possible? I definitely do. But if I'm being objective here, it needs to be independently verifiable. Like you said, primary sources, that's how I operate. And I couldn't, there's no way to independently verify what he was saying about the deletions. Because if you have a conversation with Grok and then you delete the post that you summoned it with, Grok automatically deletes all of its responses to that post. So that's kind of what happened. That could have happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there either. But if true, it's concerning. But I don't know.
I don't even think you need to they don't even need to be that extra about it. It's such a bad look for the administration on its face, right? Like, I don't think that. Go ahead.
Then it begs the question: how many times has this happened? Is this the default state for somebody from Israel? Can they just go back to Israel if something like this happens?
It's interesting that you bring that up. So when that occurred, I used my framework in Grok and was able to pull up 11 cases of this happening with domestic and foreign individuals in the last 5 years alone, where similar circumstances, they were charged on CSAM or meeting with minors, etc. And then the charges were buried. The cases were sealed and have remained so ever since, so highly redacted. But there's 11 occurrences. Some of them have to do with, there was a foreign national from the UN in New York that it occurred with a couple of years ago. There was a tech bro in Silicon Valley that it occurred with a few years ago who was from the United States. There was an Indian national who was a tech bro that this happened with in California a few years ago, where the case was brought up. It got buried by the DA or whatever, and then it was buried. And then the case remained sealed and heavily redacted, and the individual never got sentenced or anything like that. So I'm seeing a reoccurring pattern here, not just with Israel, but also with other high-level or high-profile individuals.
Well, now that you mention it, do you remember that I think it was Debbie Wasserman Schultz and about a dozen other Democrats used the same outside consultants to do their congressional IT work? I think I'll butcher the name, but like on Swanee Brothers or something. Any case, it seems like they were laundering money through a car lot or something. They were definitely like buying iPads for $999 or $499, whatever the limit was for congressional oversight, and then selling them for cash. They were able to flee to, I think it was Pakistan. So this is, and nobody stopped them. So this has happened before.
Definitely. But now that I have been covering Epstein for 2 months in a way that went against the grain, I have a new appreciation of the level of heat that you take, and you continue to work for the will of the people, sir. And so my respect for you has grown exponentially, and I just want to say thank you. Really, I mean that wholeheartedly.
By the way, shout out to my colleague Marjorie Taylor Greene. As soon as she started speaking out on these topics, now they're trying to make fake claims of insider trading and all of this ridiculous stuff. I mean, we file financial disclosure forms, and she and her husband ran a very successful construction company, which I've known about for as long as she's been in Congress. She's talked to me about it, and that that's on her disclosure forms. They're trying to make it sound like she's one of these people who came to Congress poor and became a multimillionaire through insider trading. But notice all of that started when she started, looking into this and saying things that other members won't say. And it's it's happening on X. People are paid. They're paid accounts. It's pretty darn obvious. Some of these influencers are paid to put out a narrative, and they're on a payroll that includes the same people who are interested in APAC's financing. By the way, one final thing before we go to questions. So right now I've had, since July alone, and it's 8 months until my primary election, I've had $2 million spent against me. We won't know how much money from whom has been put into it between July 1st and December 31st until January. That's when we'll get the next finance report on the super PAC. But the one super PAC finance report we have, where it was financed with $2 million, shows that there are 3 billionaires who gave to the super PAC that is trying to smear my name. They're trying to recruit an opponent. They don't have anybody yet. And one of these is Miriam Adelson. She's a dual citizen and a big supporter of AIPAC. Another one is Paul Singer, he's given millions of dollars to AIPAC's other super PAC, which finances pro-abortion causes and transgender activism. He's financed that. And then the third billionaire, so there's 3 billionaires financing the smear campaign against me, is John Paulson, who is in the Epstein Black Book. Now, that's not an indication that he's guilty, innocent until proven guilty, and even just because you appear in the Black Book doesn't mean you're even indictable for anything. But I would say these billionaires are very upset that I am not voting for war in the Middle East, that I'm not voting for aid to Israel, and that I am going after this Epstein issue. So look for that smear campaign.
Well, God bless you. God bless you.
Yeah,
Representative Massey. And speaking of, I know you're on your representative.
First Amendment rights to do anything.
So I will advocate for all of my listeners right now. If you care about the Constitution, if you care about truth, transparency, freedom, liberty, and the things that our country was founded on, I will implore you, don't spend money on anything else. If you can afford it, please go to Thomas Massey's page, his website, and he has a plug. Actually, looks like he has a website on his profile, but he also has another account, and I would just have you look it up. I believe it's Thomas Massey for Kentucky or something like that. And make sure you have the right one, okay? Don't spend any money. And donate to his cause, because he's going against the elite establishment They are trying to discredit him. They are trying to smear him. There are there's foreign policy or foreign incentives here to try to shut him up, and he is willing to take the heat. And if you've seen what happened to me, right, and I know that you guys have, imagine the heat that he takes and what he goes through as far as smear campaigns go. So I will ask people to donate to your cause, sir.
Well, I can't stop you from doing that.
No, you can't. No, you can't. All right.
I shared the link down below too in the purple pill. If you wanted to.
Can you throw it in the Jumbotron? Yeah, go ahead and throw that up. We're gonna throw the link for his donations up in the Jumbotron. You guys go support our constitutional adhering congressman up here. All right, let's go to. I'm gonna go. Noxie, do you have something you want to ask Representative Massey? She's doing what I asked her to.
Yeah, I was just trying to post that real quick. I believe it went up there.
I'll do it. I got you.
Okay. So, first of all, I want to say thank you, Representative Massey, for actually responding to my DMs. I'm really nervous right now. You are one of my favorites. I wanted to ask you a question, and it does pertain to Epstein, and I'm not sure if you remember total information awareness that was defunded by Congress, and how that was put into effect with Palantir and the ties that they have put together. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. I'm stumbling and shaking.
So she's alluding to, let me help you, Noxie. She's alluding to InQtel, which is the CIA's venture capital firm. It invested $2 million seed funding into Palantir, and what we've seen ever since then as a Palantir CIA hybrid, it seems like, at least in some regards, at least in effect, hybrid operation, to where Palantir is, it's deriving like at least half of its income or close to it from the government. And there is a nest of Palantir-linked individuals currently in the Trump administration. And it's weird because Peter Thiel, his venture capital firm, Valar Ventures, that he co-founded, received a $40 million investment from Epstein in the mid-2010s. And so there's just a weird, and this is, that's what put it on my radar. There's a weird connection there that goes all the way into the Trump administration now. Do you know what she's referring to? And I haven't found a member of Congress who's willing to talk about this at all. So I don't mind. I understand if you don't want to speak on it.
Well, no, there's no reason I wouldn't speak on it if I knew something about it. Debate protection, right? But I'm not aware of that. I'll go back and look for it and see what.
I will send you some. Can I send you some information?
Yeah. I mean,
and that's the reason that I brought it up, Congressman, is I wanted to put it on your radar. I know that you are huge for our liberty and our personal privacy. And I know you even spoke out about the AI moratorium and the big, beautiful bill into this particular company and this person. And it really raises a lot of concerns about violating.
Well, look, that's one of the things that I think we should demand it's released, which is the bank records for Epstein's entire estate and all the cash flows in and all the cash flows out. As they say, follow the money, right? That's the easiest way to figure out what was going on. And, it could be that what you're talking about was a big fund and money was fungible, who knows? But somebody behind the scenes was winking and saying, okay, we're going to put money here, and then you need to take it out and put it there. But I'm
concerned, Congressman, I'm just going to, because this is important and I want you to hear it. I'm concerned that the CIA links to Palantir and the Palantir links to the individuals in the Trump administration and what appears to be an emerging federal police force used through a Hegelian dialectic of open borders for the last 4 years and rampant crime is justifying the legal framework for the administration, and I'm not saying just Trump, but the administrative state, to enact a federal policing nationwide. And that is, we are witnessing that unfold. And the DC is the blueprint, and they're telling us that they're going to do it nationwide. And I believe that through the Insurrection Act, the justification's been there because of what happened under the Biden administration.
I don't know if the Insurrection Act gives them the full authority, but you're going where I was thinking. Look, I'm in Congress. I'm not in the executive branch or the judicial branch, but I do know unless they have authorization, they need authorization and they need appropriation from Congress. The executive branch does to do anything. So, I would blame my colleagues. I would blame the chairman of the committees that would be in charge of the authorizations for that to happen. And then every year we do appropriations. And with the exception of things like the Federal Reserve and the CFPB, which is an animal that never should have been created, both of those are, nothing gets money without appropriation from Congress. And we have the authority to stop whatever's going on. It could be just one amendment to an omnibus bill that says none of the money hereby appropriated shall be used for, and then you could put the things you don't want it to be used for. This is what I lament about having Speaker Johnson, is he will not allow amendments like that to even get a vote. Whereas, say what you will about Kevin McCarthy, we had over 400 amendments voted on during the appropriations process. I even got a vote on whether the Department of Education should exist during the appropriations process. But that's all been shut down in Congress now, for the most part, under Speaker Johnson. They'll instead of allowing 100 amendments, they might allow 4 or 5 amendments per appropriation.
It's just so strange to me that so many diehard MAGA and Republicans are cheering for the expansion of a police state, like they've completely forgot what happened during January 6th,
There's
and post-January 6th.
There's definitely some cognitive dissonance going on.
Definitely, 100%. Okay, Alex, and then we'll go to Senator Shane if he wants to ask a question. I know that he gets nervous about public speaking, and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead, Alex.
How's it going? Just want to say I appreciate you being in Congress. You are like the one politician that I have like a semblance of trust for, and I really appreciate you. Bring attention to the Epstein files even after it's out of the news cycle. We follow each other, but you follow a lot of people. But what we do is we catch online child predators across the country, and that extends to like molesters and all of that stuff too. We come across a lot of really bad people, and obviously, it's a very common thing. But what I just want to ask you is, why do you think that all politicians, for the most part, are so apprehensive to call for the files to be released? Like, do you think they're protecting themselves or donors or both, or what do you think it is?
I think there's two kinds of motivation here. At the sort of an inner circle of motivation, where I believe the American people would be really upset if they found out our own national security apparatus employs people like Jeffrey Epstein and sex trafficking and things that are beyond the law. I believe that's a possibility. I think that this could tap into that. Okay. At another outer layer, like that would be the inner circle of motivation. Just beyond that is a set of billionaires who frankly, they're part of the uniparty. They're not that partisan. They are transactional. They want their special favors for their businesses. They're almost all socially very liberal. And I don't mean in a libertarian sense. They would be for funding transgender, and they're for transhumanist, initiatives and things like that. Those folks were in Epstein's circle, and I believe there's embarrassment there. So, and so that's the next circle of motivation. But most of my colleagues are going to be motivated because they don't know these billionaires, and they're clueless as to how our intelligence apparatus works. So most of my colleagues who are trying not to vote on the Epstein files just simply don't want to get on the wrong side of Trump. That's their entire motivation here. because their reelection hinges on being in good graces. And that, again, is one of the reasons the billionaire class is running attack ads on me right now, is to keep the other congressmen cowering on this issue. So those are your three motivations. Embarrassment at the center level. I think this could implicate how our national security apparatus operates outside the law or the Constitution, in much the way Edward Snowden had revelations. There could be revelations that big in these Epstein files. And then the next circle is the billionaires who don't want to get embarrassed because they've been playing in this little swamp and operate outside the law, include Pam Bondi.
And go ahead, Ask. Yeah, I see. I appreciate the answer, but is people a lot of times in comments on my posts, they're like, "Well, why don't you just talk to Trump, or why don't you just talk to Pam Bondi?" You're assuming I haven't. Like, I do. I have. I asked Pam Bondi for these files in a private dinner in April. Because I'm on the Judiciary Committee, we went over to her office and had dinner, and it was very nice. And we were each kind of, we went around the table. Members of the Judiciary Committee could ask the Attorney General questions. And I told Jim Jordan, I said, "Listen, I don't want to embarrass anybody here, but I'm going to ask about the Epstein files." And he said, "Massey, you do what you want. Ask whatever you want." And I got the runaround then in a private meeting, and I realized that, we were not going to get these things, or I suspected we weren't going to get these things based on her answer then. Thank you, Thomas, Representative Massey. That's I didn't know that. I didn't know that you had asked in person. So there's another breaking news. Thomas Massey has asked Pam Bondi in person about the Epstein files. So, wow. What a great space.
By the way, in front of her staff and 30 other congressmen.
Wow. It's wild. Yeah, that's so wild. All right, thank you, Alex. I know our time is limited here, so I'm going to go to Shane. Senator Shane. Sir, do you have anything that you would like to ask the congressman or say?
Yeah, thank you, Congressman. I've been following you and appreciated your last tweet where all the criminals had gone home, so why were they beefing up police support there in D.C.? I thought it was hilarious. We founded the Freedom Caucus last year and was able to run it through here in Oklahoma with a lot of conservative initiatives. So we've dealt with the swamp on a state level, similar to what I see you doing up there. It takes a lot of courage. My question is, how is your experience working with our congressional delegation from Oklahoma? I put a lot of their contact information down below so that people could reach out to them if they're from Oklahoma. So I had them on ready available. My congresswoman in particular is Congresswoman Stephanie Bice. Do you think she would be amenable to signing on to your request for the Epstein files? I think your answer to that would probably be very telling, but any other open-ended commentary you'd like to on our congressional delegation, because we're looking at making sure that our conservative values are being represented up there like you do for the good people in Kentucky.
Dean might be your best bet for getting a signature on this discharge petition. And again, when the Freedom Caucus was first formed, the argument was they needed 30 people that would go to the floor of the House and vote the right way, and that lock arms and vote the right way. And I told him you'll only ever need 29, because regardless of what you decide at your meeting, I will be on the floor voting the right way. I don't need the cover of 29 other people to do what I think is right. So what you really need is people who don't vote as a block. Ironically, you need people who will go down there and do the right thing. They don't need to have meetings and talk about it. I'm sure if your Freedom Caucus is like I can imagine, you probably talk yourselves to death, and everybody in there is the smartest person in the room, and they've all got a big plan, and they get beer muscles on, and then when it comes time to do something, if everybody's not in agreement, it doesn't happen. So the Freedom Caucus, those are my closest allies. But it also turns out that Victoria Sparks, not in the Freedom Caucus, Marjorie Taylor Greene, not in the Freedom Caucus, Warren Davidson, not in the Freedom Caucus. These are actually the toughest fighters that I know in the House of Representatives. So I would say if you have a member of Congress who gets elected, probably the Freedom Caucus is a good thing for them to join. It would be a good indication to you that they're at least willing to say they're conservative when they get to Washington, D.C., but I wouldn't put much weight into what caucus somebody is in. Just look at how they vote.
You want to respond to that, Senator?
I couldn't agree more. We went from about 4 conservative votes last legislative session in 2024 to 12 to 15 consistently pushing back against the growing government agenda of the establishment. So we wrestle with that battle because we have a lot of conservatives like yourself who vote with us, but they're not really joiners. But I agree wholeheartedly. If you have the courage to vote your conscience, you'll end up pretty much voting like a Freedom Caucus member.
Hey, by the way, the fact that you're on this Twitter space tells me you are one of the best ones there in Oklahoma. I don't need to know much more. And also the fact that you're trying to help your federal delegation, find the right path up there, because I know that gets you in trouble. Just the fact that you've been on this Twitter space is going to make some of them upset. It's going to make your leadership upset there in Oklahoma. So my hat's off to you, brother.
Well, I appreciate that coming from you. A tremendous amount of respect. Thanks, sir.
All right. Well, let's see. I've been on here now. I'm just going to do half an hour. I think I'm going to have to hop off of here. It was good talking to you all. Thank you to everybody who's on this Twitter space. You're now on Mossad's list, and your phone will get hacked and all that good stuff. But
and again, you guys can go support him in the link up in the Jumbotron. And Mr. Massey, I have been under threat since covering the Epstein files. I just alluded that I might come to D.C. Can you give me some tips to stay safe if I come down there? Because I have been threatened quite a bit. But I'm just going to publicly declare, right, if I do go to D.C., I'm not suicidal. I'm not doing anything risky. And I am going there just to cover that event. So if I do go, I will definitely be in touch with you, sir. Thank you again.
Yeah. All right. Look me up. Well, it's a swamp, but my office is a lily pad.
Got you. I got you.
All right. We'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you, Thomas Massey. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Noxie, for inviting me.
Yeah, good job, Noxie, getting them in here. Thank you so much. All right. That was good, man. We got some breaking news on that one. I want to know what what's going to drop in September that's going to make it hard. They got some. He said that somebody had some juice. I want to know what the juice is. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. Let me get the stage filled up here. Bottom right corner, repost the space, get out in the comments section, and we will continue this conversation. Sorry, I know a lot of people didn't get a chance to speak or come off stage or ask, but it's a limited time, and I promised before that I would have. That I would be very selective with the questions, not who, but the amount of questions that he would get asked. Because again, he gave us an hour, and we only had 30 minutes. So really appreciate that from the Congressman. Noxie, good job getting him in here. What did you think?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having my back whenever I was completely fangirling and stumbling over my words. That was very appreciated. I'm really looking forward to what he has to bring in September, and I'm incredibly thankful for somebody to be standing up and digging into this whenever it feels like we just keep running into one brick wall after another. And he was absolutely right about my very own state senator, Jet. He is one of the best here, and I am a loud, vocal person cheering him on, and I am very thankful